Hi everyone, welcome to the ElectricmotorGP show. My name is Nee, and this is probably the final episode for 2025. And it's been an interesting year, and I wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you guys who tune in, week out for the videos that we put in. I know I've had a couple of weeks here and there that videos haven't dropped, but I try to make up for it by dropping videos to catch up for the ones that are away. There wasn't a video last week. That's because I was away, and but I'm going to make up for that. I think there are going to be about 3 or 4 videos that are going to drop back to back to make up for that. For those of you who've had a lovely holiday, hope you guys got to spend time with family, and hope you guys got to spend time with the people you care about. And as we look forward to 2026, I hope the things that you're chasing do come through and you get to have a fantastic 2026 ahead. Brief summary for 2025. We started the channel, I think it was the 1st or 2nd of December 2024. The hope was just to do something fun. And the idea was if I got to 2,000 subscribers by December, I was going to have a few travel episodes for you in 2025. Not only did we supersede the 2,000 subscribers estimate in a very short period of time, it then put a lot of pressure on me to deliver on my promise that I was going to travel for you guys in 2025, which I did. So we covered the Sydney EV shows twice, the Melbourne EV shows twice. We did the Shanghai Auto Show, we did the Indonesian Auto Show, we did the Thai Auto Show, we did the Guangzhou Auto Show, we did a Guangzhou site visit to Expo in Xiaopeng, and we did numerous test drives in 2025. So 2025 was a busy year for us. This also is to say a quick thank you to everyone, because we've managed to also go from aiming for about 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers to having over 45,000 subscribers in 1 year. And we also managed to do a couple of firsts. We had our first 1,000 view video. We had our first 10,000 view video. We had our first 20,000 view video. We had our first 30,000 view video. Then we jumped straight from 30,000 to our first 100,000 view video, which was the Xpeng AI video. And we also had our second video top 50,000 as well. So to all of you guys who tune in to make this happen, all I can say is thank you. Now, this video, it's an interesting one. This is the video for the recap of 2025. And if you remember, I did do a video at the start of the year, best EVs for 2025. And I didn't put them into categories. I just put all the cars that I really liked and the ones I was looking forward to, and the ones that I had criteria for, to say, look, this is the videos that we're expecting. This is the videos that we think will be coming in, and hopefully, this is the cars that we're expecting, and these are the cars that hopefully will be coming in, and these are the cars we think that you're gonna enjoy. Right, so this year we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to have specific categories that we're going to be shooting at. And why have I done them specific categories? I've done it in such a way that you can look at the cars and you can find where you are seated and find the car that is most appropriate for you in each segment that you sit in. So rather than give you what I did last year, which was to give you 15 cars that I thought were really fun, and then give you another 10 cars I thought should have made the list but didn't make the list for whatever reason. We're going to try and do it a little bit differently this year. This year we'll have multiple segments, and they're going to be 10 segments in total. And those segments will go from city car to small SUV to mini SUV to sports car to supercar to MPV, 6 or 7 seater SUV, luxury SUV, innovation, and I think that covered affordable large SUV as well. So without further ado, let's start with the city car. The city car is, it's a segment that everyone tends to want to focus, especially in the West. In China, it's important in a different way. And a few of the cars that made this list this year were cars that in China were very popular. And I think their popularity might have given them a little bit of edge on this list. Now, there's a car that comes in twice. It comes in in the city car category as well as in the small SUV category. And there's a reason why it comes there, two of them actually, but the one of them is in the honorable mentions rather than the city car category. And I will go into more detail for each of those cars for you. So, honorable mentions in city car. I put the Wuling Mini EV as an honorable mention. The reason why I put it as an honorable mention is it's the smallest car on this list, and it's a very basic car with little or no functionality. It's very, very popular in China. It sold over 1 million units already over the last 3 to 4 years of its life cycle. It's pretty damn good, but it's only sold in China and Indonesia and a couple of other places. So it does meet the criteria that it's got to be sold in more than one market for you to qualify. But it just doesn't meet all the other criteria, things I would like to see in a car. So for that regard, I've just put it in there as an honorable mention. The other honorable mention in the city car category, which isn't in the city car category but is in the small SUV category, is the ZQX. Now, those of you who are loyal to the channel will know that one of the first cars I test drove on the channel was the ZQX, and I'm a big fan of the ZQX. It punches well above its weight, and it's punching above its sister brand, the Volvo EX30. It's a fantastic car, but I've kind of taken it out rather than it's a city car, definitely, don't quote, but it's a very luxurious city car, so I didn't really put it into this particular category of city cars because I wanted the category of city cars to be very, very affordable. There's a third car that makes the list. It's not an honorable mentions, but I wanted you to think about it so that you could be aware of it, is the Renault 5. It is probably the biggest car in the city car category on my list. And because it's the biggest car and because of the functionality, I bumped it down to 2 rather than to number 1. The car that comes down to number 3 is the most popular city car in the world right now. And I will explain that to you why I didn't give it the number 1 car. So, without further ado, let's go through the list. At the bottom, we've got the Dacia Spring. The Dacia Spring is the most affordable EV you can buy in Europe. The only other car that comes close to it is the BYD Seagull, aka the Dolphin Mini, aka the Atto 1 in Australia. So Dacia Spring, in terms of affordability, is a solid 5 over 5. It is murdered by its charging. Its charging is atrocious. It's got a DC fast charging of 30 kilowatts. So in that regard, it's a 1 over 5 for its charging. Boot space is pretty decent actually. It's a 308 liter boot space. It's got no frunk, if I'm correct, and it's got a 400 volt architecture. It's a basic car that does the job of what it's supposed to do. It's got a 26 kilowatt, so 26.8 kilowatt battery, so it gets a 3 in terms of the battery. Its range is not really great. It's only capable of 137 miles, which is 220 kilometers. Sorry, 225 kilometers, 137 miles. So its range is not really great. It's another 3 over 5. Functionality and tech, it's a very basic car. It gets a 2 over 5. The interior is very basic as well. It gets a 2 over 5. It gets a 16 over 30. So that means the Dacia is affordable, but it's a basic car. It does the job it's supposed to do. Will get you 220 kilometers. It'll drive you for 3 or 4 days before you need to charge it. If you plug it in every night, you should be fine, but otherwise it's a basic car. The next car on the list that I put in here is the Kia EV3. Now, it shouldn't be on this list, point blank, and that's why it's number 4 on this list. Why? Because it's the most expensive car on this list, so it gets 1 over 5 for affordability in this category. It has won the City Car of the Year in 2024 before the BYD Seagull won it in 2025. So I want you to understand why it's on the list, and I'll then explain why it's on another list and why in that list it does much better than it does in this particular list, because this particular list is heavily biased towards affordability and functionality. And for functionality, it's a solid 4 over 5. Interior wise, it's a solid 4 over 5 as well. And charging, it's not bad in its charging at all. I think it's capable of charging at 128 kilowatts. So it's a solid 4/5 for its charging as well. So the range is also one of the best here. It's got a 600 kilometer range, so it's got 5/5, and the battery size is the largest in this particular group. It's got 81.4 kilowatts of battery in the top spec and 60 kilowatts in the base spec. So overall, it's got a solid 25 out of 30, which means theoretically it wins this group. But like I said, the major reason why I picked the city car in this particular is I'm doing a lot more weight into affordability. And since it does come up in a different group, I didn't want it to win two categories. So I am specifically going out of my way to be heavily biased against it. I'm being honest. Now, the Renault 5 is the second most expensive car in this group. So for affordability, it also gets a 1 out of 5. It's 45,000 Australian dollars, but this is based on the European price. It is launching in Australia next year. It's going to be less than 40,000, so I've been told, next year when it does launch. It is the second biggest car in this group after the Kia EV3. It's also got the second longest range in this group at 410. It's got the second largest battery, 52 kilowatt hour LFP battery, 400 volt architecture. It's also capable of charging at 100 kilowatts DC fast charging. So for DC charging, it gets a 4/5. Affordability, like I said, it's a 1/5. The interior is a 4/5. Functionality for the Renault 5 is a 3/5. The range is a 4/5, and the battery, I will still give it a 5/5. So again, this car theoretically should be second, but I've put it at third simply because I'm biased towards affordability in this particular group. So for this particular one, it scores a solid 23/30. It should be second, but it's not. Now, coming to the second in this group is a car that's been sold in very few markets. It's coming to Australia next year as the Geely EX2. It is known as the Geely Jinyuan in China. This year alone, it sold 500,000 units, making it the most popular car in China for 2025. It's also probably the most affordable car in China at the moment because it is being sold in China at the value of about 25,000 Australian dollars if it comes in. And it's estimated to be coming to Australia also in that same price bracket because it's coming deliberately for the BYD Seagull, aka BYD Dolphin Mini, aka BYD Atto 1. So in terms of charging, it's 50 kilowatts fast charging for the EX2, and it's a 2/5. Affordability, it's a 5/5. It is the most affordable car in this particular group. It's also the third biggest car with the dimensions of 4.135 meters, 1.8 meters in width, and 1.57 meters in height. It is deliberately targeting the BYD Seagull. It's bigger than the BYD Seagull. It's got a slightly bigger battery, a 40 kilowatt hour battery, 400 volt architecture, 50 kilowatts DC fast charging, and a 315 liter boot space, which means the boot space is significantly bigger than the BYD Seagull. So from an interior perspective, it's a 4/5 for it. Functionality, it's a 4/5. Range, it's got a solid 320 kilometers of range, so I'll give it a 3/5 for the range. Battery size, I give it a 4/5, 22/30. But it's second place despite the fact that it's scores slightly lower than the Renault 5 simply because it is very, very affordable. It's definitely going to be shaking up the EV market in Australia next year when it launches officially, but it's in all the markets that it's been launched, it's doing fantastic numbers. And like I said, it's done 500,000 units in China this year alone, making it the most successful car in China, period, for 2025. Now, I have given the price number one car, city car, to the BYD Seagull because it actually won it at the World City Car Awards this year. But one of the reasons why I've also given it is in multiple markets at the moment. I fully expect that the Geely EX2, aka the Geely Geo, will probably be the city car of the year for next year. No questions asked. In terms of size, It's the dimension of the BYD Seagull is 3.78 meters in length. It's 1.7 meters in height. It's 1.54 meters in 1.7 meters in width, 1.54 meters in height. It's got a boot space of 230 liters, which is where it does drop back in terms of functionality. It's got a WLTP range of 310 kilometers. Base model in Australia is going in at 25,000 Australian dollars. The top spec is going in about $29,000, which means it's solid. DC fast charging is a massive letdown, 30 kilowatts. DC fast charging, which gives it a 1/5. Affordability gets a 5/5. Interior gets a 5/5. Functionality, it does get a 4/5 just because of the boot. The range is a 3/5 as well, and the batteries are 4/5. So basically, it has almost the same scores as the Geely EX2, but it's a 23/5, making it the second highest score alongside the Renault 5. So in this particular category, the BYD Seagull / Dolphin Mini / Atto 1 wins this particular one. So we're going to then move on to the next one, which is the small SUV category. This small SUV segment is probably the most competitive segment available in the world right now. Honorable mentions in this particular category that I haven't mentioned at all, that I want you to have a think about, that don't make this list, even though they've got the potential to be in this list very, very easily. The Renault 5 could easily be on this list, but it's not there. There are a few other models from some of the other brands that should be on this list as well, which includes the MG4, which I haven't put on this list, despite the fact that the MG4 is probably one of the best cars you can drive in this particular one. However, because the suspension on the MG4 is not particularly great and it's a bit uncomfortable to drive, I've deliberately not put it into this particular category for this year. So honorable mentions, the MG4. But in terms of drive handling, the MG4 is a fantastic car. I drove it, I had the car for about a week. I had the X-Power version of it. Fantastic car to drive. It's affordable as well. The updated MG4 has got a better suspension than the old one. The seats are also better, which is one of the things that really let the MG4 down, is the seating. Every single time I drove it, and all the members, all my colleagues that drove the car while we were testing the car, all complained about how uncomfortable the car was. The suspension, you felt every single bump all over the road, but that's because it was designed and tuned to be a very firm suspension and more about the driving dynamics than about comfort. But the MG4 is a fantastic car. I should have made this list. Honorable mentions to the MG4. Cars that did make this list. This list is probably the most difficult list for me to make. I'll explain why. You've got sister companies making cars that actually get on this list very easily. I would have given this the car that I'm going to rank as fifth, this particular segment. I would have definitely given the award to this particular car, but just let down by the fact that the pricing and a few other things at launch, the prices have been adjusted a little bit now, but otherwise this car is a very, very fantastic car. I would say the Zeekr X. Love the car. Drove it last year. Absolutely phenomenal little thing to drive in. Very comfortable. Suspension is good. If you get the all-wheel drive version, it drives so well. It's got a decent range, 440 kilometers. It's a city car. It's not meant to do more than that. And when you think about the cars that are bigger and more powerful and got bigger batteries and still have about the same range or poorer range than the Zeekr X, it makes you understand how good the Zeekr X actually is. It's also let down by the fact that it's a 400 volt architecture, but even at that, it's got 150 kilowatt DC fast charging. So in terms of affordability, the fact that the price has come down now to 56, it's still better than what it was at launch, which was about $72,000 drive away in Australia. But market forces have corrected the pricing for it. So in terms of affordability, it's a 3-ish out of 5. Charging, it's a solid 4/5. I'll probably even say 5/5 because it's for this particular category, that's what you'd expect, 150 kilowatts. In terms of dimensions, it's the second biggest car. No, it's the biggest car in here. So it's actually punching well above its weight in terms of interior as well as the functionality of the car. So for those both categories, I'll give it, for functionality, I'll give it 4/5. For the interior, I'll give it, for functionality, I'll give it 5/5. For interior, I'd give it 4/5. Range-wise, I'll give it a 4/5 as well. I'll give it a 3/5, sorry, because it's easily surpassed by other cars in this particular segment. Boot space also, it's not particularly great, 362 liters, 400 volt architecture. Range, definitely 3/5 there. And the battery size, it's a 66 kilowatt hour battery. It's a very decent battery size for that. I would give it a 4/5. So that gives it 9 plus 10, 19 plus 4, 23/30. Like I said, this is the tightest group of all the groups that we're going through today. Next is the Hyundai Kona. I think this one also has an affordability problem. It's 54,000, 3/5 in terms of affordability. Battery size, I would give it a 4/5 as well. It's got 65.4 kilowatts there. Charging, I will give it 102 or 4/5 for charging. The interior of the car, I give it a solid 4/5. And functionality, boot space 466 liters, solid 4/5 there as well. And the range, it's 514 kilometers, so 5/5 there. So this particular car, 20/30. The Smart One, I'm not going to take the hashtag one, I'm going to call it the Smart One. The Smart One is, in my book, probably well overpriced, coming in at 55,000 before on-road costs. So affordability is a 3/5 as well. Charging for the Smart One is best in class, 5/5 for it, 153 kilowatts, 400 volt architecture. Boot space is actually pretty poor, 318 liters. 313 liters. It's got a 440 kilometer range, so for the range, it gets a 3/5 as well. Functionality is a 3/5, and its interior is 4/5. In terms of the battery, it's got a 66 kilowatt battery, so it gets a 4/5 for the battery as well, 23/30. And the Volvo EX30, obviously the Zikr X is outshining it in terms of sales and everything else, but I just like the practicality of it. I think the Volvo should actually be fifth in this group, to be honest to you. 64,000 for the price. Affordability, it's a 1/5. Yeah, I think the Volvo, I've mixed it up. The Zikr X should be second and the Volvo should be fifth. Sorry about that. The Volvo's got a 69 kilowatt hour battery, so it gets 4.5/5 for battery. In terms of the range, it gets a 476 kilometers of range, which gives it a 4/5. In terms of its functionality, it gets a 5/5 for the functionality, no, 4/5 for its functionality. In terms of its interior, it gets a 4/5 for its interior. In terms of its charging, it gets a 5/5 for its charging as well. So which gives it 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, 21, 22/30. Now the Kia EV5, this definitely is the standout car in this particular segment. Affordability, it gets a solid 5/5 because it's coming in at 50,000. In terms of its charging, 128 gives it a 4/5. In terms of its practicality and its interior, it gets 4/5 and 5/5 for those because its boot size is 460. In terms of range, it's a 5/5 because it has a range of 600 kilometers. Functionality, like I said, it's a 5/5, 400-volt architecture, range 5/5 as well. So this is best in class in almost every category. So all in all, this car walks away with a solid 28/30. So I'm going to re-rank that. I'm just going to let you know. So in 5th position, we've got the Volvo EX30, probably one of the best cars in this group. It's only exceeded by the Zeekr X. You've got the Hyundai Kona in 4th place. You've got the Smart One in 3rd, the Zeekr X in 2nd, and the Kia EV3 in 3rd. So moving to the mid-sized SUV. Right, so moving into the mid-sized SUV. This is absolutely the most competitive segment of all the segments available today. Most competitive segment. There are 3 or 4 cars that should be on this list that didn't make it. I'll start off by mentioning them. The Geely EX5 should be on this list. I rooted for the Geely EX5. I did put the Geely EX5 on my list last year. It's probably one of the most anticipated cars for 2025. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think what I should do is split this list into 2 and give you a budget list as well, so that that list, the Geely X5 has a chance to actually shine. You've also got to think about it from the perspective of whether or not this car should be on this list. This car does a lot so well. There's a car that's on this list that I do like it, but in terms of what it represents and in terms of pricing, it really shouldn't be there. But I'm putting it in there to satisfy a cohort of people that say, I am very, very biased against the Germans, the French, and the Koreans, which is not true. Basically, what I'm always asking for is, does the car represent good value for money? And if the car comes in, are you going to be able to really put into perspective that this car is an awesome car for you to have? And it's really difficult for some of the cars. I will give you a simple example. The Kia EV5 made my list last year. Absolutely amazing car. Absolutely love it. Still do. It's in my honorable mentions list. The Kia EV6, fantastic little car. It's not so small. It's more like a shouldn't break than a proper SUV. But the EV6, honorable mention. Lovely car to have. The GAC Aeon 5, Aeon V. That is probably my car of the year in terms of affordability. It came in from nowhere, knocked off the Geely X5 off that list. So when you look at the cars I've mentioned that didn't make this list, you then start to understand where I'm coming from. This is a very, very competitive segment to be in. So I've literally given you a list of 5 cars that easily should be on this list. The Geely X5, EV5, EV6, JC Aeon V. This is probably the most difficult sub-segment to even want to have a chance. Oh, IM6. I bought one. And I know, even though I bought one, definitely doesn't crack top 5. Even though I bought one. That's just how crazy this particular segment is. The whole package is what makes this particular segment absolutely crazy. And what I want to say is, this segment is so impressive that I've got to look at it from the perspective and go, how do you rank the best car in this particular segment? There are people who will come out and tell you, this is what you want to put in there. And there are cars in this particular segment that I absolutely love. I'll give you a simple example. I bought the IM6, but I put in $1,000 on the Xpeng G6. I haven't collected my $1,000 back on the Xpeng G because I'm hoping that in 2026 the X-Men G6 comes out with the all-wheel drive version of it, or the G9 comes out, and I will just simply trade in the IM6 for it, because the overall package is on a different level. So this particular group is really, really difficult. Now I'm going to start from the bottom of the list. The reason why I put this car at the bottom of the list is very, very simple. Let's start about affordability. The Audi Q6 e-tron starts off with $115,000. So for affordability, scores a 1/5. Charging 210 kilowatts, 270 kilowatts. So it's not doing too bad. It's not best in class at all. Really, really okay, but midline level of okay. I'll give it a 3 or 4 out of 5. In terms of the interior of the car, it's pretty solid, but it also looks pretty dated, and I mean pretty dated. So I'll give it a 3/5. In terms of its boot space, it's got a very, very decent boot space, but it's also the second smallest boot space here. So I'll give it a 3/5 in terms of functionality and everything else and practicality. In terms of its range, it's got a very, very decent, probably best in class range in here, but it's got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, 625 kilometers, 5/5. And in terms of its battery, 5/500 kilowatts. So you get 5 plus 6, 11 plus 10, 21. 21/30. Next here is the Tesla Model Y. Now, this car probably should be higher up on this list. Probably. There are a few things I don't like, and I'm going to be very honest with you. The idea behind the fact that you've got to pay subscription for the software for full self-driving really irks. I said that in the last year, and it still irks this year. Last year, there was not a lot of competition that was close enough for me to say I wasn't going to give it the car of the year, which I gave it the car of the year. It's still going to be one of the most popular cars of this year, simple. But the pricing as well. Before on-road cost is about $70,000. By the time you put on-road cost, it's going to cost you about $90,000 or $89,000 Australian to be able to pick up the Tesla Model Y. The drive is significantly better. Dimensions is about the same. The interior of the car is significantly better than it was. It made it very, very difficult for me to put it in 4th position. But I'll explain why I put it in 4th position. And it's a joint 4th. So it's not like it's, theoretically we should say it's 3rd. But in terms of everything else that goes along with it, not so much. So from a price perspective, it gets a 3/5. From a battery perspective, even though Tesla tries a lot to hide its battery, I think it's about 74, 75 kilowatt hour battery, but it's got the best range in here, roughly about 540, 550 kilometers of range. So from a range perspective, it's doing pretty decent numbers. I'll give it a 4/5 for range and 4/5 for battery. Functionality, it's a 5/5. Interior, I don't like the fact that you still have to change the gear selection on the screen. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a driver and instrument cluster, and for that reason it gets a 3/5 for me from the interior. In terms of affordability as well, it gets a 3/5 for me from its affordability. So that gives it 8 plus 9, 17 plus 5, 22. Now, coming in 3rd place is the X-Men G6. Those of you who know the channel will know very, very well I'm a fan of this car. One of the reasons why I'm a fan of the car is the fact that it's autonomous driving. It's coming to Australia in 2026. It will be free. You're not going to pay a subscription for it. You don't have to pay anything at all to try and get it, and it will come to you as free. Now, there are some other cars, like I said, that should have been on this list. They're not. One of them is the Neo ES5 and the Neo EC5. But it's not sold in a lot of markets. It's only available on left-hand drive. Functionality wise, it's more than fantastic for a car. Absolutely adore this car. I cannot wait for it to come to the international market, and I cannot wait to do a proper test drive of it. But on this particular list, sticking to the list as well, is definitely the Zeekr, is the Xpeng G6. From an affordability perspective, the price is down at the moment for the car itself. So you're looking, now is the best time to get one. 0% finance is available on the Xpeng G6 at the moment. You get a $5,000 cashback if you wanted to pick one up. So instead of paying $58,000 for it, you'd probably be getting one for about $52,000 at the moment. So from an affordability perspective, definitely a solid 4/5. From a charging perspective, 280 kilowatts, definitely a solid 4/5 as well. From the interior perspective, it does cover the minimalist thing a little bit too, but not as much as the Tesla. So in that regard, I actually think it's a much better car in that regard. So 4/5 in that regard as well. Functionality, solid 4/5. Probably the biggest boot space in this particular case, only after the car that comes number one. I don't use the boot space of the Tesla as a proper measure because it measures it all the way to the roof. So 4/5 out of that. Battery size for the Xpeng G6 is an 87.5 kilowatts, so definitely 4/5. And the range is a solid 570, which is very, very, very good 4/5 as well. So in that regard, it's a 24/30. So second in this list is the Zeekr 7X. Now this car, definitely by the time we're doing this list next year, is most likely going to be number one unless a few things come against it. This is a car that's well thought out, very comfortable, does a lot of things right. Within 3 months of coming on sale, has already sold well over 3,000 units of the car. And it's very easy to see why people are very interested in it. And I'll put it into context for you. This car launched about the same time as the IM6. And from a functional perspective, from an understanding what the consumer wants, from a perspective of actually putting into consideration what people actually want from the car, the Zeekr 7X took more time to develop that than the IM6 did. The IM6 focused, we're going to just chuck everything that we think you want into the car without thinking about how well it blends, how well it works, and whether or not it works very well. Obviously doesn't work, so you can't compare. Now, here's the joke. Does the IM6 drive better than the Zeekr 7X? Yes. But as the overall package, which would I rather have? The Zeekr 7X. So from an affordability perspective, the Zeekr 7X is 77 before on-road cost, it's 72 before on-road cost, but by the time you put everything together, it's about $81,000. But that's the top spec. And it's cheaper than the Tesla Model Y. It's cheaper than the IM6. Honest to God, it's miles ahead of almost every other car, which is why it's doing the numbers that it's doing. So from an affordability perspective, I'll give it a 4/5. From battery perspective and range perspective, 5/5, 5/5. From a charging perspective, 5/5. From functionality perspective, 5/5. From an interior perspective, 5/5. So, like I said, it should be number one. It's a 29/30. It should be number one. No questions. If I've given the number one, I've given the number one based on sentiment. The number one is the Sea Lion 7, but it's based on sentiment. Purely sentiment. And the reason why I've given number one is the second best selling EV in Australia, and at the rate that it's going, it's definitely competing with the Tesla Model Y to become the number one EV in the world. That's how well the Sea Lion 7 is doing. But from a charging perspective, it's only the 400 volt that's sold in most markets. Europe has got the 800 volt, but even that only charges at about 230 to 250. You cannot compare that to the Zeekr 7X that actually charges at 430 to 450. Now, the new G6, when it comes in February, March next year, also charges at 450, 475. Then would be cooking. So next year's list is going to be so much fun. The Sea Lion 7, from a charging perspective, it's a 3/5. From a boot perspective, it's got a 500 litre boot, so it's a 3/5 there as well. I'd give it a 3.5. Battery perspective, the rest of the world mostly gets the 85 kilowatt hour battery. Europe gets the 91.3, which gives them a 520 kilometer even in winter and 550 in summer, so it's not bad. But for the rest of us, we get the crappy 85 one, which would only do in winter about 350 for the all-wheel drive variant, and will do roughly about 480 in the rear-wheel drive variant. Boot space, like I said, is 500. 400 volt architecture. Charging is not great. Value, affordability, solid 4.5. Why? It's $69,000. Drive away, you get one for 75. It's the cheapest one of all the cars in there at the moment, bar the Xpeng G6. But the Xpeng G6 is not an all-wheel drive. If you can get the all-wheel drive Sea Lion 7 for roughly about $69,000, it's the cheapest car in there. Simple. In my book, I would say affordability, definitely give it a solid 4.5. Interior-wise, 5/5. It's got everything that you need. Practicality, 5/5. It's got everything that you need as standard. You don't have to really stress or do anything to get that. Range is a 4/5. Actually, it's a 3.5. And battery, I'd say it's a 4/5, which gives it roughly about 25/30. So the Zeekr 7X is the better car, hands up, no questions. But it came out late, sentiment in there, sales figures already show. By next year, we'll catch up with the Sea Lion 7, definitely. So this is one of those spaces for you to watch. So that is the mid-size SUV range done, and then we will move on to the next segment. So this particular segment was interesting, and because this particular segment was really difficult, instead of having 5 cars, I've got 6. And yeah, this is fun. Bottom of this group is the MG S5. New car, pretty affordable. Price-wise, it's $43,990. 435 litre boot space, 662 kilowatt hour battery. It's got a range of about 425 kilometers WLTP, 4.5 meters in length, 1.85 meters in width, and 1.62 meters in height. So at the bottom of this group, you've got the MG S5. Total scores for this car is about 23 out of 30. The next car isn't supposed to be in this segment. It's slightly too big. It's the biggest car in this segment, 4.73 meters in terms of its length, 1.9 meters in terms of its width, 1.68 meters in terms of its height. So it's too big for this segment. This is supposed to be in the Tesla Model Y segment, actually. But price-wise, it fits into this segment as well, and therefore I've put it in. So I put that in as number 4. Number 3 is a little bit more difficult, because where do you put the benchmark? Do you put it at the bottom as number 3, or do you put the other cars in there? And I'm going to go with putting it as number 3. Why? Because it hasn't had a refresh in quite a while. It's still the benchmark for most of the cars. Like I said, 400 volt architecture, DC fast charging is decent, it's just about 100, 60 kilowatt hour battery, decent boot space for 440 liters. So out of 3, but it's been bitten because it hasn't had a refresh. I'm gonna put the Geely EX5, the car I specifically designed this category for, as number 2. I'll explain why. It's done a good job. It's come in. It's got a good software. Flyme surround system is fantastic. The speakers are very, very good. Software is very, very good. 60 kilowatt hour battery, 460 liters of boot space. It's got a range of about 430 kilometers, which I'm not very impressed with. However, it does a good job. It's 4.6 meters in length, 1.9 meters in width, and 1.67 meters in height. Like I said, it did benchmark the BYD at a 3 and also benchmarked the RAV4. But they got bit at their own game by the Aeon V. The Aeon V comes in with a 75 kilowatt hour battery. It's got 510 kilometer of range. And I haven't tested it yet. It's on my list of cars to test for 2026. I've been told that you will get as close to 500 as possible of that specific battery. And 4.6 meters in length, very, very similar to the RAV4, bigger than the Atto 3, 1.85 meters in width, again, slightly bigger than the RAV4, bigger than the Atto 3 just by a little bit, no, slightly smaller than the Atto 3 in terms of width, height 1.68 meters, again, slightly bigger than the Atto 3. So you find a situation where these cars were definitely designed to benchmark the Atto 3 and the RAV4, and they do a much better job than the RAV4, than the Atto 3 in doing that. And what do you get at 44,590? This car is also cheaper than the RAV4, with all the bells and whistles coming in as standard. Good infotainment system, good driver instrument cluster, good size, very, very decent car. Honestly, watch out. As I've said this, the GAC Aeon V is going to be probably one of the most successful cars in Australia in 2026. Now, the Geely EX5 is number 2, like I said, on this list. So the list goes, the MG S5 is bottom of this list, but does make the list. The Leapmotor C10 is second bottom. Then you've got the Atto 3. Then you've got your Geely EX5 before you then have your GAC Aeon V. So that's that list. I know I'm trying to go through so much of this categories for you. Okay, so this category is your 7-seater category, and we're going to split this into two. We're going to do the MPV versions of this car, and we're going to do the non-MPV versions of the car, so the ones that are actually looking like an SUV. Now, the MPV section of this car is purely and undoubtedly dominated by the Kia Carnival. And the Kia Carnival is regular internal combustion engine. It's been around for a long time. It's the most popular car in this segment. It falls into the $70,000 to about $90,000 Australian dollar category in Australian dollars. Very, very family friendly car. Pretty successful. All over the world, the different versions of this car. There's the BYD M6 version of it, which is a cheap car. There's the M7 of it as well. Geely have got their own. They haven't got their own version of it at the moment. GWM have got theirs. Who else has got? I think Xpenga's got theirs as well. Like I said, multiple different versions of this car are available. But we're going to focus on the ones that I think that I kind of have driven, and the couple I haven't driven in there, but I've been in. I thought that were really, really good. The bottom of this list that just makes the list as a consequence of the fact that it's available a lot of markets and it gives an option. That's the ID Buzz. For what you're paying for this car, yeah, nah. The long wheelbase version comes in at about $92,000 drive away, I think, before on-road costs, and then top spec goes up to about $100,000+. When you think about what you will get for the $100,000+ options of this car, you've got to ask yourself, why pay for the ID Buzz? And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a bit biased against the ID Buzz. Every single time I've had to do a test drive with Volkswagen, the staff, the guys are coordinating, they've not been particularly great. The car itself doesn't ride so well. And I think they try to restrict access to the car because they know they're going to get silly reviews about it. I think the predominant thing about the car is nostalgia. They're basically trying to focus on people who used to recognize the Boss Combi that was popular in the 70s and 80s, and trying to see if they can cash in on that nostalgia. It is available in Indonesia, it's available in Thailand, it's available in Singapore as well. Am I a fan of it? The answer is no. It's the long wheelbase. If you had to pick one, it's probably the option to go for. It's got a decent battery size. I think about 80 to 90 kilowatts of battery in there. Got a decent boot size. Creature font amenities in the car, basic, but it makes the list. But it's not a car I'm a particular fan for. And I'm going to be honest with you. If there are options available, I'll tell you to pick the other options I had to pick in this car. The car that's going to come in at number 4 is the Peugeot E5008. It's not a proper mini MPV type car. It's interesting. Comes in about $80,000. 98 kilowatt hour battery. Got a 250 liter boot with all the 6 seats up. Capable of doing about 660 kilometers. Definitely much better than the ID Buzz, which only has about 500 kilometers at the 480 to 500 kilometers on the long wheelbase. Yeah, the Peugeot 5008 is definitely a better car in my opinion. If we're going to move on to the other cars that are available in this category as well, you've got the new M8 from GAC, which is available in Australia. It's also available in China. It's available in Indonesia. It's available in Singapore. It's available in Thailand as well. So multiple different markets. The plan is to bring it to Europe sometime next year or early 2027. It's a decent sized car with a decent sized battery, capable of doing over 550 kilometers of range, 400 volt architecture as well. Decent boot space, lots of creature comforts in there as well, and more importantly, it's affordable. It walks in about 75,000 Australian, which is not a bad price point for this car as well. Coming in at number 4 is the Denza D9. It used to be my favorite in this car segment. Test drove it in Indonesia in February. Loved it. For some reason, Denza's taken out most of the luxury options in the car and just brought the basic versions of it to market in the rest of the world. Even in China now, it's very difficult for you to get the definite class leading quality ones available at the moment. So much so that in China now, the Way version of it is actually much better than it in terms of creature comforts as well. But because the Way version is not available outside of China at the moment, I'm not too keen to rank it. There are a couple of other options in China as well that I think should make the list, but basically because they're not sold outside of China, I'm not particularly keen on ranking them. Now, the Tang is one of those ones that I think is more of an SUV than an MPV. It does make sense to try and categorize it as both, but I think it's more of an SUV, and I will rank it in the SUV segment. The X9, I think, is going to be number 2 in this list. I'll explain to you my thinking. So the Ioniq 9 is probably going to be the 3rd on the list for this, and I'll explain to you why that is. The Ioniq 9 is about $120,000. It's got a 110 kilowatt hour battery. It's the biggest of all the cars in this space, bar the X9, bar the 009, which I'll talk about in a moment. It's 620 kilometers of range. It's got a 620 liter boot space with all 6 seats up. It's capable of charging with 350 kilowatts. So it's a decent charging infrastructure. It's better than the Kia EV9, which can only charge at 240 kilowatts. The Kia EV9, you've seen me, I've test driven this car, but it's not. I wouldn't really put it in the MPV category. I think it's better for me to take both the Ioniq 9 and the EV9 and put them in the SUV category. So the X9 comes in as 2nd, and purely because the luxury factor within the Zeekr 009, which I'm going to rank as number 1 in this particular segment, is on another level. Now, the Zeekr 009 they've realized that the price point that they've put it makes it a bit restrictive, and they've tried to fix that, and I'll come to that when I'm talking about the Zeekr 009. But for number 2 on this list is the X9. The X9 is phenomenal. The technology is great. The driving dynamics is good. It's got rear steer as well, which means the turning circle is also pretty good. It's got a decent range, about 570 kilometers of range. It's got decent fast charging for the old model, and the new model, which was the one we're going to be getting in Australia, it's got 5C charging, which means it can charge 10 to 80% in 12 minutes. In addition to that, it's pretty solid in the way it drives and the way it handles. It's pretty decent in the way it does everything that it does. So in all honesty, I think the X9 probably should be number one. But again, I said in terms of the luxury creature comforts, you've got to give it to the Zeekr 009. And in terms of price point, even though they've not confirmed pricing, a little bird has told me that the base model of the Zeekr X9 is going to, the Xpeng X9 is going to be coming in about 85, and the all-wheel drive version of it will be coming in about $95,000. So, which means that the X9 is going to be fantastic value for money. And if you're a family, you're thinking about buying the Kia Carnival base model coming in about $70,000, I would probably tell you buy the base model of the X9. You've got screens in the back, you've got a lot of charging points, you've got rear steer, which means the turning circle is good, you've got a decent battery, you've got fast charging in there, you've got the ability to very good to load with this car as well. So this guy is particularly awesome, absolutely awesome. Now, the reason why I gave it to the Zeekr 009, it's luxury on wheels. I've done a few reviews of this car. I've test driven this car in Indonesia. I've test driven this car in Thailand. My test drive in Thailand was amazing. The comfort in the car is on a different level. The only car that would probably match this car is the sister car to this car, which is the MPV that's the ES90. Is it the ES? The ES or MS90, which is from Volvo, which matches this car in almost every level. And the Volvo MPV is absolutely amazing, and it should be on this list, but I don't think it's sold in multiple markets at the moment. Eventually, it's going to be done. It's going to be sold in multiple different markets, and therefore there'll be competition. Price point of the Volvo version is quite expensive as well, which makes it a little bit more difficult to rank it. But however, the Volvo's MPV is also very, very, very good. Zeekr 009, however, I would rank because it's sold in multiple different markets. And if I was going to say, I would say they're joint first. But the Zeekr 009 is slightly bigger than the Volvo. It's got plusher seats, more comfortable, Napa leather all the way through, cooled heating and massaging. You've got a wide 24-inch screen in the rear, which is absolutely amazing. They also have a fantastic edition, which is the Grand Collector's Edition, which I've done a video about, and you can see the link for that in the description as well as in the background if you want to have a look at it. And definitely, now I wasn't mentioning to you, Zeekr realized that they were struggling with the sales of this car because the all-wheel drive version is coming in at $135 before on-road costs, which comes to about $145,000, and the base model comes in at $125, which comes to about $135 with on-road costs. So what they've done is to do a smaller sized battery with slightly reduced, just the rear wheel drive version of it, which slightly reduced it, but you still get about 550 kilometers of range with it, and it's 580 kilometers of range, and you've still got plenty of oomph with the car. 0 to 100 is still about 5.5 seconds. Amazing car. Now it comes in at 115 grand before on-road costs, which comes to about 120, 125 drive away. It's still a pretty expensive car, but what you're getting in terms of luxury in this car is freaking amazing. So that's the MPV 7-seaters. Now, the SUV 7-seater, this was more difficult. And I'll explain to you why. I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward for me to tell you, go get the Kia EV9 or the Ioniq 9, because those two cars are miles ahead of everything else in the 7-seater category, but that you could get, and they were more affordable than everything else. But 2025 was fantastic in making things a little bit more interesting. So I will have to tell you that the ranking has changed. And I'm not going to rank the cars in this particular segment because I found it very, very difficult to do. So I'm just going to tell you the 5-6 cars that make the list for this. And, that's not fair. Right, let's rank them. The 5-6 cars that make this list. The BYD Tang, also known as the BYD Sea Lion 8, that's coming to Australia. You've got the Ioniq 9. You've got the Kia EV9. You've got the Volvo EX90. And my new favorite in this category is the Denza B8. Now, a lot of you are going to be thinking, why has he put the Denza in this category? Because it's an SUV, it's a plug-in hybrid, so technically I can get away with putting it in. It's got well over 100 kilometers of range in the SUV segment of it, and EV only drive of it, but it's a 6-seater and 7-seater, and Denza's done something incredible. If you watched my interview with the CEO of Denza, he says we wanted to prioritize the family. So guess what? For 85 grand drive away, 88 grand drive away, you get the 7-seater version of the B8 available to you. I'm going to put that into context for you. The Zika 7X is 82 grand to drive away. Seats 5, much smaller car. The IM6, 83 grand to drive away. Seats 5, much smaller car. The Tesla Model Y, 89 grand drive away. Fully electric, fully accepted, but this car definitely punches. But I cannot give it the number one spot because it's a plug-in hybrid. I know this channel does cover plug-in hybrids, so I've got to say whichever car we pick to be number one has got to be a fully electric car in this segment. When we do the segment that we're going to dedicate to plug-in hybrids, we can have a conversation about that. So I will put it at number 5, but just be aware the B8 is available for you to drive, and if you pick the B8, you've got hydraulic disc-speed suspension, you've got rear and front differential locks with the electronic central differential lock available to you as well. You've got off-road capability for yonks. You've got a 37 kilowatt hour battery in there, so you get 130 kilometers of EV only range. You've got a 2-liter engine in there that also drives the car, which makes it absolutely amazing. Yeah, but it's not fully electric, so I'm going to put it as number 5. The Kia EV9. I love this car. You know I love this car. There are 2 problems with this car. If you get the 5005 version of that, so the 5.005 meters of it, the third row is cracked. If you get the 5.015 meter version of the car, it's not cramped. It's actually quite decent. It's got a base model starts at $97,000. It's got a 505 kilometer range. It's got a 333 liter boot space when all the 7 seats are up. 800 volt architecture, capable of charging at 240 kilowatts. It's pretty decent. But the Ioniq 9 trumps it. Basically, the Ioniq 9 looked at all the flaws of the Kia EV9 and surpassed it. Simple. And it's also more expensive. So the base model for the Ioniq 9 starts at 110,000 and the full spec goes into 125,000. Comes with a 110 kilowatt hour battery, which therefore gives it about 600 kilometers of range WLTP. 800 volt architecture also, but is now capable of charging with 350 kilowatts. And unlike the Kia EV9, which is the 5005 millimeters or the 5015 millimeters, the Ioniq 9 comes in at 5060, which means it's more comfortable. It's still got lots of gadgets and gizmos available to it. It's probably one of the best cars you can get in this segment as a 6 or 7-seater SUV. Absolutely amazing to drive. Awesome car. Hopefully, I get to do an extended range test of this car, see if it actually can deliver up the 600 kilometers of range that it says. But given the fact that it's got a 110 kilowatt hour battery, I'll probably say yes. Now, the EX90. The EX90 is, I test drove it 2 or 3 times, loved it. I used to drive a Volvo XC90. I drove that for about 7 years before I got rid of it. And the EX90 drives better than my XC90. It's a heavier car. It's got 100 and 10 kilowatt hour battery, 105 kilowatt, depending on which spec you pick. And it's got the base model all-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive Ultra, which does performance and get capable of doing about a 4-second 0 to 100 kilometer. So it's pretty nifty as well. It's got a few software bugs because Volvo is still using Google as its template, but it's not bad. I actually drove it. I really enjoyed driving it. The only thing that the EX90 doesn't have, which is a bit of a shame, is that it doesn't have rear steer, which would have improved its maneuverability. Otherwise, the EX90, it's safe. I think it's got the second highest ranking from ANCAP for passenger safety. I think the only car that topped it was the Tesla Model Y. And even with that, it was very close. And Volvo is known for being safe and reliable, and the Swedish minimalist design was not over the top, and the car itself is absolutely amazing. Now, there are some cars that are not on this list because they're not sold in every single market. One of them is the Zeekr 9X. When this car comes out, it's going to blow your freaking mind. The next one also is the Lynk & Co 900. That is also going to be absolutely mental. But they don't make this list because they are only sold in China at the moment. But if you're able to get one, you would absolutely love them. Now, final groupings, I'm gonna call just a flat. I'm not gonna mention specifics in there. I'm just gonna say hybrid cars. Top of my list, the Denza B5, followed by the Denza B8, followed by the Denza B5. Then you've got the Sea Lion 6 also in that category as well. The Leapmotor C10 plug-in hybrid is also good. And the bottom of my list in this particular, the BYD Tang, the Sea Lion 8 coming in also is on that list. The bottom of my list, unfortunately, is the Leapmotor C10. Software and stuff. No, sorry. The bottom of my list is the Geely Starray. I didn't enjoy the drive that much, but the other ones I've mentioned are absolutely fun for you to have if you wanted to have a plug-in hybrid car that you would enjoy. So those are those cars. Now I'm going to pick the luxury EV of the year. And this one's very difficult because for you to pick a car as luxury, it's got to give you every single thing you want in a car and not make you think about whether or not this car should be something else or it could be better in one way or the other. Bottom of my list is the EQS. Good software to a certain extent. The new version of it has actually been upgraded and should not be bad at all. The second up from that is the BMW iX3. Hasn't started going to a lot of markets, but it's not too bad. The BMW iX itself is not bad as well. So those three cars follow that one. Fourth from bottom, right. Third is going to be the Macan EV. Sales numbers are not great, but it's a very fantastic car. Ride handling is fantastic, and you will enjoy it so much. The Lotus Electra also comes in second. Beautiful car. Available in multiple different markets, does the job very well. Handling is amazing, but again, it's slightly on the smaller side. And finally, the EX90, which I think is probably the most luxurious car you can buy in majority of the world right now. Overall, the most luxurious SUV that you can buy, period, is the Jiangwang U8L. Simples. But unfortunately, it's not available in all markets. You can't pick it up everywhere you want. It's only sold in China at the moment. So because of that, it doesn't rank. But wow, I've been in it. I've driven it. I had to drive it in a car park because I didn't have the license to drive it and I wasn't allowed to film it. But hopefully when I go back to China next year, I'll be able to do that for you and you will be able to see that. The Lynk & Co 900, it's not supposed to be classed as luxury because the Zeekr 9X is supposed to be more luxurious, but it's a fantastic luxurious car. Everything you want in that car is present in that car. And the funny thing is this car is sold in China at sub 60,000 USD, which is roughly about 90,000 Australia. If it comes to Australia, probably about 100,000, but fantastic car. So those are the honorable mentions in terms of luxury. Now the final group that we're going to be doing for today is the luxury segment of the car, is the supercar segment. So I'm going to split that into two. So you're going to have the affordable supercar, or what I call the performance cars. Well, let's call them the performance car, and the proper supercars. Okay? So the performance cars that you can get that are affordable will start off, and this is going to sound pretty weird, but it's true. This segment is dominated by two car makers from China. It's dominated by BYD and is dominated by the Geely Group. And I will list the cars. You ready? Performance cars, you've got your Porsche Macan, your Porsche Taycan, you've got your Xiaomi U7, not available in all the markets, so cannot rank. Xiaomi SU7, not available on markets, so cannot rank. So the Porsche Macan and the Porsche Taycan rank. The Zeekr 001 and Zeekr 7 GT rank because they sold in multiple different countries, and they probably should top this list. The Yangwang doesn't rank, even though it's available. The Yangwang doesn't rank because it's only available in China. I've driven the U7, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the best thing about the U7 is 120,000 US, which is roughly about 150,000 if it comes to Australia. That's all you need to know. You're getting a supercar that can do 0 to 100 in about 2.3 seconds, has got 800 kilowatts, which is roughly about 1,300 horsepower. Freaking amazing. You've got the U9 and U9 Extreme, also here, but they don't rank, and that's because they're not available everywhere. However, I've been told that the left and right versions of it will be sold in multiple different countries. You can ask for it, and if you ask for it, you can have it delivered to you, and BYD will charge you accordingly. So those are my supercars that don't rank, but you've got your Lotus that is sold in multiple different countries, and those are the cars I would probably say those are the supercars you can get. So that's my end of the year review. We've got a few things coming up for 2026. We're hoping to still continue to give you all the different content that you want. Please like, share, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything we've missed in this particular list, and I will do my best to try and update it and catch up with you. So until then, stay blessed and subscribe. Join the membership so that this channel can continue to do that, continue to provide you with all this content and continue to travel around the world to provide you with access to the best cars on the planet. Until next time, stay blessed, and I'll see you soon.